EDP Center for Learning Technologies in the College of Ed and Human Services. I'm joined today by Matt Giuliano, who is one of the edTPA graduate assistants. You guys are going to get very familiar with Matt throughout the semester, as well as the other grad assistant, Perry. The two of them are going to be some of your best resources. So today's workshop is just a video production workshop. We wanted to tailor it as much towards our edTPA students as we could. But that is my disclaimer. This is a video production workshop, so content-specific questions, we're not going to answer them. We're going to keep it, mainly focused on the technical side of things. Questions, anything that comes up, please put them in the chat. As we're going, Matt and I are going to do our best to answer any questions that do come in. Otherwise, you could save it till the end if you'd rather ask it and not type it, and we'd be happy to spend some time after the presentation and discuss anything we could. Anything that does come up that Matt and I are going to be unable to answer, if it's content specific and a lot of you guys have that question, we'll do our best to send out an answer when we send out the recording of this video after the presentation. My goal is to get it out tomorrow, so it won't be long before we can get your questions answered. And there may be some instances where we think that it's best to save your question to your mandatory content specific workshops with Ms. Romano. Sam is the edTPA guru. I don't know if anybody's had the pleasure of working with her yet, but she'll be the person to ask any of the really specific questions to, because today, like I said, we want to focus on the technical side of things, as well as really just tips and tricks to make sure that the video you're submitting, that you're producing, that you're recording, whatever you may be doing, we want to make sure it's the highest quality possible. All right, so we're just going to jump right in. Matt, anybody that pops up in the waiting room as we're going, if you notice, you can just admit them in.
Yep.
Sweet. Okay. So like I said, I'm Joe, and I'm joined by Matt, and today we're going to talk about some best practices for your edTPA video. So just right away, I'm going to just share the ADP Center's website. It's edpcenter.org. This is a good resource for you guys. In addition to the edTPA Canvas page, the Canvas page is the most up-to-date resource for all of you guys. Sam spends a lot of time making sure it's up-to-date, and it's very organized. But in addition to that, the ADP Center website, again, edpcenter.org, could really help you out too. On the ADP Center's website, on the right-hand side under those menus, there is an edTPA section. There's some information on there. There is also the equipment request portal. If anyone is doing in-person instruction this semester, or even if you're at home and you wanted to record yourself as well, you can rent out equipment. The ADP Center is going to reopen on February 8th when the semester begins, and we have every intention of being completely reopened as a resource and a space for you guys to go as well. The hours for the center, we're going to still operate it. We're going to operate on limited hours because of COVID and because we don't have many classes taking place at night this semester. Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And Fridays 9 to 2. So, like I said, we are going to be open. So any equipment requests that you put in can be fulfilled in person. And you can also go under the Contact Us page, and if you click Schedule an Appointment, you're going to be able to schedule an appointment with everyone that works in the ADP Center, both edTPA content-specific GAs, Sam Romano, the edTPA coordinator, myself and my grad assistant. So we're all, in one centralized place. So those are just some resources to keep in mind if you need extra support.
Yeah, and also, sorry,
go ahead.
also on the Canvas page too, there's going to be and I'll go over this later too, there's going to be a link that you guys can schedule an appointment from too. So there's plenty of places you guys can schedule appointments with us. So yeah.
All right. So let's just jump right in. We're going to strategize about starting to film your video. So like I said, the ADP Center does offer equipment for you guys to rent. The kits are fairly simple. They're made up of an iPod, a tripod, and a clip-in microphone. If anyone is, in the PE area, we do have special kits for you guys that have Bluetooth microphones, so you can be moving around a little bit. if you have a lesson that's going to involve some activity. You can also bring your own device and use your own device for anything you're doing. There's no rule against that. We just like to, it kind of helps us support you guys better if everyone's using the same equipment. So it's just easier for us to troubleshoot. So we do recommend using our equipment when possible. We understand, we're living in the age of COVID. All bets are off. So in a normal world, we try to recommend it, but we still, if you want to give it a shot, we're happy to help. So this is just a quick little kind of screenshot of something that's on the Canvas page. It just shows you what's in the edTPA kits. Like I said, they're fairly basic, but they work. It gets the job done. The iPods shoot a high enough quality video. And really at the end of the day, it's not, about producing the highest quality video. It's getting video of you teaching. It's meant as an artifact to kind of support what you're doing. So we're going to try to get the best video, but like I said, no one's expected to be a videographer. It's just kind of a means to an end here. We want to make sure that we're getting video that's going to support what you're submitting. So renting the equipment, you can rent the equipment from the ADP Center's website, like I talked about before. It's going to ask you to log in with your net ID. It's going to ask you for some information just so we can contact you in the event we need to get hold of you. Typically, the equipment is rented for about 2 weeks. Matt handles this, and any questions with this could be directed towards Matt. But we're going to be as flexible as we can. Last semester, we did not have a real big demand for the equipment, just because most of our students that were going through the edTPA assessment were teaching virtually. So we're going to be super flexible. The 2-week rule is there just to make sure that we give everyone a fair shot at it. But if we realize there's not much of a demand, we obviously want to work and we want to help, accommodate you guys so we can support as many of our students as we can, because that's the goal. So Matt, do you want to start us off with before you shoot your video, talking a little bit about permissions?
Yeah, so going out, I think it's already on the Canvas page, is the permission slips that you guys need to send out to all your students, and have them either print out and then mail back to you, or there's going to be a virtual form going out to everyone tomorrow, I think, as well. So you'll have all the students or their parents, if it's younger students, sign these forms and then bring them back to you guys. And then those are the students that you'll be able to film. Either if you're doing screen recording or if you're doing the actual in-person actual recording with the kits. And so then any students that don't, or anyone else that be appearing in the videos that don't sign that form won't be able to be seen in the video. So again, like in person, if you're doing in person, that would mean like you can position. I think there's a picture. If you want to go to the next slide, Joe. Oh wait, you could just go back. I thought it's in a couple slides. Yeah, there's a picture that'll in a couple slides we could show you there. But you can position the camera to not show those students. Or you could just ask those students, if you're screen recording, to turn their cameras off. And then also you have to make sure that there's no school identifiers. So things like a t-shirt, if the student has a school t-shirt on, anything that shows the school name or the location or anything like that. Additionally, student names are totally fine. So first and last name, if you guys didn't know that. But yeah. And then I could do this one too. Yeah, so I just wanted to go over this real quick too. Just the differences between the in-person, those of you doing in-person and those doing virtually. So those kits that Joe mentioned before, the kits, you could use your personal iPhone too. There's instructions on the Canvas page that could show you how to use any of those. So for that, here, I'll admit them. You just place the camera on record, and go on the website like Joe showed before, to rent that equipment out. And then if you're doing virtually, you would use screen recording. Or what some other students have been doing as well. Um, they are putting the camera, they rent one of the kits out and they put the camera to their right or to the side of them, and they film themselves talking and the students on the screen at the same time. Um, and yeah, I mentioned that before. Yeah, so those are the options for that. And an additional thing to take into account for that too is that student faces don't actually have to be seen if they have you could see in here the tiles that people have like on Zoom or any other platform. If those can be seen, that works totally fine. The students don't have to show they're not required to turn their videos on. It's just as long as you can hear, or I think it's 3 to 4 students participate, you could just hear their voice. That is totally fine. That's all that's required. And the only exception for that is when for PE or music, I believe, or visual arts, where the student has to be seen performing an action.
So I'm going to just take one question that Allison just asked because it kind of leads us into the next
Okay.
thing. Just to clarify, screen recording like the one happening now is okay for submission. Yes, yes, it is. As long as you're in it and there's some type of tile action happening. Like Matt said, it doesn't matter if their cameras are on, or if it's just a solid picture. I mean, a good example is if I shut my camera off right now, just my Montclair State headshot comes up. Something like that is fine. If it's an avatar, if it's an emoji, it doesn't matter. It's just to kind of distinguish that when you're doing the recording, someone is there. So it doesn't. If you guys have specific questions about screen recording, we will talk to them at the end, because some people in Zoom it's easy, but some people in Google Hangouts that has come up where it is a little more difficult. So just kind of keep on this one sec. We're actually there's a picture where we're gonna show you the camera placement. So if you were, not doing a screen recording, sometimes people like to do a backup just in case their internet crashes. What's hard about the virtual learning is we're not there. We kind of can't have like a control group. Like I said, if we're giving everyone the iPod kits, we have kind of a baseline for support. Now it's a little more difficult because everyone's doing different things in different locations. So we're going to do our best to try to kind of come up with a baseline, even though there's not really one. So let's just go to the next slide. So like I said, camera placement, take time to get familiar with what you're doing. If you're in a classroom, kind of scout out the classroom first. I imagine most of you guys are not going to be in a classroom. You'll probably be in, the virtual land like we are now. So take some time to kind of get comfortable talking in front of your laptop. I know personally, I would much rather be in person. It's a lot easier to kind of read off of an audience and ask questions and answer them in real time rather than doing it in Zoom. So take a few minutes to get familiar teaching in a virtual environment. And make sure, if you guys are in the classroom, just be careful where you're placing the equipment. We want it to be taped down. We want it to be a non-tripping hazard. I'm going to take questions in 1 second and catch up on those, but I just wanted to show you guys these pictures quick in case it does help answer anybody's question. If you are in a classroom, we want to make sure that we're placing the camera in an angle of the room where we're going to, primarily focus on students that have submitted their permission slips. We want to make sure that anyone that's, didn't give consent is out of the way. So like you can kind of see in this picture, the non-participants are in a group kind of off to the side where the camera is not going to pick them up accidentally. And then something that is kind of new to the whole virtual learning aspect of things. If you guys notice where the camera is set up, it's off to the side. We can see the instructor, teaching, because that's the most important part. And we can also kind of see the screen. In this kind of screenshot, there are students' faces that are blurred. That could be because we didn't have the student's permission slip. It could be because the district is not allowing us to film the students. in that instance, it's like we said, it's okay to have them turn their video off. We don't need to see their faces for this, so it's okay. And I'm going to just kind of go through these questions real quick. I think I kind of just answered, what if the district will not allow to show the kids' faces? Yes, you would still film yourself. You would do what we're doing right now, or like what this picture right now shows.
Yeah.
Just don't have the students turn their cameras on. Totally fine. If they're not allowed to show the kids' faces, you could have them turn their camera. Yep. Oh, Matt, answer that. Sorry. Oh, Matt, is Sam in here at TPA MSU?
I think she is. Yeah, she told me she would be.
Oh, nice. All right. So Matt, you want to take the next slide? We have some good virtual learning tips.
Yeah. So, there's some things that you need to anticipate given virtual learning. Like, so some students might not be able to participate. Wi-Fi issues, lack of technology issues, things like that occur much more frequently now. But you just want to be able to ensure that you have enough, the minimum of students at least. So 4 students is the minimum, which is not a lot to be asking. So that is the only number of students you need to be able to have at any time, and that shouldn't be much of a problem. Yeah, and you should provide opportunities for students to be able to be seen and heard in the videos. Again, it's not an issue if students can't be seen or if their videos are off, especially if the district says that it's not allowed. But giving students those opportunities to participate is something very important for the edTPA. And yeah. So in your context for learning, or instruction commentary, if the students can't be seen or something like that, then that's something that you would discuss the district's policy that the students can't be seen, or you could discuss how students that haven't signed the permission slips won't be seen. So this is something you can discuss there and get some leeway depending on the specific policies that your district may have. Yeah, some more tips. So breakout rooms are only allowed if your CT is present, or if a parent or guardian has acknowledged their presence. So that's a really important thing. Like we mentioned before, another option some students have been doing is setting up their camera just to the side of them. If they're unfamiliar with how to use screen recording on whatever platform they're on. And Joe showed the picture of that before. And yeah, also another important part is that there can be asynchronous components to some of the lessons. So that can include things like email exchanges with students, and you could clip those things out and get their answers on things like that, on assessments or things like that. So yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to answer questions and we're bouncing back and forth. Whoop. So just a tip, if you are filming, whether you're filming in person in a classroom or whether you're filming, with like a camera kind of to the side of you to make sure you get that sweet spot of an angle, make sure the device, whatever you're using, if you're using your phone, if you're using one of our edTPA kits, make sure you're holding the device landscape. We don't want the bars. It doesn't look as good. We want to, if we're going to produce the video, we want it to be high quality. It's also going to be a lot easier in case, well, essentially we have to compress the video so it does kind of degrade the quality a little bit. So if we're looking at something that fills up most of the screen, it's going to be a lot easier to see. So just general rule of thumb with anything, hold the phone sideways. Keep in mind with how much space you're using on your device. Our recommendation, somebody actually had a question already saying, oh, they put it on, they dumped their recordings up to Google Drive. Great idea. Get it off your phone, get it off the iPod, whatever you're using. Put it somewhere safe. Use your Montclair State Google Drive. It's not going to count against storage. There's an unlimited amount of storage. So it will be safe up there, I promise. Make sure your device is charged. Make sure the iPod you're using is charged. That's always a problem somebody runs into. Just make sure you plug it in before you're charging. If you're using one of our mics, the mics go in the charging port, so you can't do both at the same time. Just something to kind of keep in mind. I would say for the most part, even on the iPods, you're not going to run out of storage, especially if you're dumping after your lesson. If you're recording for a few hours one day, you should be fine. You're going to get a fresh, clean device. But people run into it on their own phones. This is always something that, keep in mind. If you are using your own device, make sure you're deleting pictures and things like that off ahead of time. Like I said, use your Montclair State Google Drive. Don't pay for iCloud. Don't pay for anything. Put it somewhere safe and free. Trimming and compressing, somebody did kind of mention this in one of the questions earlier, and I said to wait. So now Matt and I are going to talk a little bit about trimming and compressing. To submit, you have a very kind of finite file size limit that goes up into TK20 and Pearson and all those good places. So we do have to help you, or we do have to compress the videos. There is a ton of guides that are on the Canvas page on how to do this. You could make an appointment with Matt, and he would be happy to kind of walk you through the process step by step over Zoom. If you wanted to come into the center, one of my student assistants at the front desk would be able to walk you through it. Just unfortunately right now, because of COVID, they would do it from 6 feet away. So just some things to kind of keep in mind. Typically, it's nice and easy to do on QuickTime on a PC. Matt, I believe you found a workaround to do it on a PC.
Yeah.
So we have those guides that'll be on the Canvas page for you as well. There is also, in case somebody does need to blur, ideally, no one's going to have to blur, but it might happen. So we want to make sure that you guys are okay with that. There's guides for that as well. And then I said before, keep things on Google Drive. You can always download a full file on Google Drive. You guys really aren't allowed to edit too much. You're allowed to trim the video clips. That's always a question that comes up. Can I, splice two clips together? No, it needs to be one continuous clip. You can trim the ends off so it's the, the right time limit that you're looking for, and we can help you compress it, but you can't combine anything. So editing is fairly simple because it's really just trimming. It's not editing, and we want to make sure that we are submitting files that are below, I believe it's 500 megs.
Yeah.
Sweet. We've done it enough times.
Yeah, if I could jump in with that real quick too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the three main types of editing are compressing, so that's the file size of your videos. Trimming, like Joe said, there's length requirements for the videos, so make sure you fall under that. And blurring in case, for example, if a student who didn't sign a permission slip turns their camera on for some point in the video, then you would have to go and blur those out. And so what I recommend for everyone, if you have a Mac, you could go, if you want to compress or trim your videos, you could go in your handbook and find the specifications for your subject area. And then you could go on Canvas under the video guides section, and you can compress and trim your videos from there. And then you can reach out to me, make an appointment with me if you have any questions about that process. Really, it's a very simple process. It doesn't take a lot of time, but I'll definitely help you guys if you have any questions or issues. If anyone needs to blur, just come straight to me. Just make an appointment with me. Because it can be a difficult process, and I can help walk you guys through that. Oh, Joe, you muted. Okay, I'll do this part. Yeah, so some of the do's and don'ts. I can't read it. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I got this one. I didn't realize I was muted. I just felt.
Fun.
Oops, I was that person. All right, so we're gonna just talk about some do's and don'ts real quick. They're just little tips to get high quality video. Lighting is always important. We want to make sure that we're lit from the front. Even if, the day you're recording, this is just always something that I say to everyone. I say it when I do workshops for recruiters at the university. Make sure, you're sitting somewhere where today the light is good. Right now I'm sitting in like a different spot than I normally work from home at. But I'm sitting in front of a window, so window is this way, so the light is nice and even on my face. We don't want something where it's super shadowy. We want to try to get away from super heavily backlit areas. You can always use a virtual background. I'm using one right now to hide my kitchen that's behind me. I would say don't use something that says Montclair State or any name of anything. But you can just use a plain background. That's totally fine if you don't, want everyone to see what's behind you. But we want to make sure you're not heavily backlit. Think about taking a picture with, your friends in front of a sunset. If the sun is setting behind you, chances are the picture of you guys, the subjects, are going to come out pretty dark. So we want to try to make sure we're very forward lit, nice and even. Audio, we want to make sure that you're in a quiet room. Obviously, we can't really control everything. Most of us are working from home. So, if it's an echoey room, it's going to be what it's going to be. We want to make sure you have as clear of audio as possible. Obviously, there's other ways around this, but we want to make sure that we can just get good audio. Sometimes it will help if you're using a headset. If you guys are interested in getting one, you can get some cheap ones for like $5 from Amazon. Not a big deal. The audio quality does make a big difference if you go from using a headset to here. I'm going to turn my laptop mic on. So you guys should have noticed pretty solid difference between using the different microphones. If you want to use your like earpods or something or your AirPods or earbuds, whatever, ladies, just make sure your hair doesn't kind of ruffle them because it will ruffle the mic and it will pick up. Just something to keep in mind. But the audio quality is important. And make sure, if it's in your control, try to just find a quiet space. There's going to be a lot of chaos happening on the screen. So we want to make sure that the environment you're in, is pretty quiet. Something else, keep it steady. This doesn't really apply so much if you're, talking to a laptop, but if you're using a camera kit and you're in a classroom in person, we want to make sure that you are using the tripod. We want to make sure that, we can set it and forget it, and it's just going to be simple, kind of even video. Sometimes it gets a little distracting even if you had the cooperating teacher following you around, it's a little nauseating and it's a little distracting. So this is just a best practice. Always use a tripod if you can. None of these, are edTPA like killers here. It's just some tips. So do you guys have any questions before we leave you? I know this was kind of a workshop, a quicker workshop. We didn't want to overwhelm you guys with too much content, but we wanted to make sure that you guys just got a taste. So going into your subject specific workshops that are mandatory and coming up, you guys feel a little bit more confident. So if anybody has any questions, now's the time. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. So if anybody wants to ask, feel free.
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. Earlier in the workshop, you said something about new permission forms, because I was just going to use the Google form that was sent out last semester.
That's fine. Sam's going to send out a electronic version tomorrow. I believe it'll be posted on Canvas.
Is it the same one that was used last semester, the Google form, or is it different?
I believe it's the same, but she's just going to send out for any students that haven't received the form.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then is there any chance, I know this is kind of a long shot, but if it could be translated in Spanish, or if there could be a Spanish version?
We could definitely, I'll write that down so that'll be one of the requests that we circle back with. But it's a good question.
Do you mean for the electronic? Sorry, it's Sam.
The Google form. Yeah, the Google form.
The Google form, I can see what we do have translations in for the print one. So what I might have you do is send out the electronic and then also include the translated regular form, so that way they can get the gist of it. So that could be an option.
Okay, that's fine. I could do that then. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks.
I had a quick question. If we're going to use our iPhone to record, do we need to get a mic from you guys?
That's up to you. Are you like going to be in a classroom recording, or are you going to be recording like next to you?
Next to me at home.
Okay. I would say you're fine.
I mean, my first option, I would like to record the screen, and I was wondering if you guys will give us pointers for WebEx. I tried to do some research. All the YouTube videos make it look easy. I did not see an option to record, and neither did my CT, so I'm confused.
Okay, so I've personally, we don't use WebEx at Montclair. I don't have access to it to really even troubleshoot it for you. But what I'm going to say is, on the Zoom side of things, a lot of times there's admin level settings that, so if you and your CT didn't see a recording button, because it could be because your admin, like at the district level, disabled the feature. So it's likely not you. Because I've run into
about an admin, but I didn't know what that meant. It means because you go through the district portal.
Yep. It's probably turned off on the district level. So in that case, if you're going to be using like your iPhone, you're fine. If you're in a quiet space, the audio should be fine. If your phone it's pretty close to you, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would do a test though beforehand. Even if, just record something that doesn't matter if you're taking attendance. So just something to kind of keep in mind.
And I was just wondering if there would be an issue with, I know it's on the side, so you can kind of see the laptop, we can kind of finagle it, but then if they can't see your facial expressions because it's only the side of you, like, is that okay?
You have to kind of find the sweet spot. So here, let me just pull up those examples again. Because you should be able to see enough of your expression and enough of the screen. So we want to find, like I'm saying, like the middle ground of it.
Yeah.
So either of these would be fine. So you could see on the lower screenshot, you can't exactly see the instructor's face. So ideally the first one, if you could sit a little bit, even like more open that day, just angle yourself. I know it's not exactly the most comfortable thing.
No, but I get it. Yeah.
Just sit a little wider.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Wait, I actually have a question I'm sorry, what was your name? Because I'm using WebEx too.
Dina.
Okay. Are you in Newark as well, or?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to have the same issue.
You could check. I'm not sure. I think it depends even what school you're at in Newark, because I know I've worked with a few different schools already on different things, and they're using Zoom.
Oh no, I'm using WebEx, and that's why I checked.
Newark kind of manage things.
Okay, I'll figure that out.
Centrally, that's just been my experience. Did I freeze? Are we there?
Thank you.
Sorry, no problem.
You're good.
We're good, thanks.
I have a question. Can we use like software, like recording software for our screens? Because I set up 2 monitors so I can show, like it picks up the Microsoft Teams. That's what my school uses, so you can see students and see me interacting, and then it picks up my other screen that will show like the materials, like presentation. Is that acceptable?
Yeah. So the most important thing that you're showing is your interaction with the students.
Okay.
So even if if you set up a camera like to get it, I would focus on the monitor that the students are on and yourself. So that's primarily what you're going to be focused on. But if I'm not sure in Teams if it'll record both screens. That would be something to test out. I know in Zoom, one of the recording options is to record everything, so it'll record everything separate. I would just check in.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got software that allows me to do that. So.
Gotcha. Sorry, I misunderstood.
No, that's okay.
As long as you're getting the interactions with the students, that's what you should be focused on. So if there's other content in there, that's fine. But as long as your interaction with the students, that's the most important part.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Jamie, what software are you using?
It's from a company called NCH, and it's let me see, it's called Debut Video Capture Software. So I need something that was really easy and idiot proof, because I'm not really a technologically well-versed person. So if I can use it, anyone can. So it's only about, they had a 50% off sale this month. So it was only about $25 for the software.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
If anyone, just as a disclaimer while we're on that, if anybody has a Mac and is using a Mac, you can use QuickTime, which is free and already on your computer, and it will record everything on the screen.
They had
oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Hi, I actually typed the question in the the Zoom chat about the Google Meets.
Google Meets.
So I have
Yes.
2 lessons recorded, and they're on my Google Drive, and I'm trying to export them to my computer, but they're only exporting them in pieces. So like, let's say I teach a 40-minute lesson, they'll only export about like 22 to 23 minutes of that lesson because the file, I guess, is too big. Is there a way to export it in full?
Okay, I'm going to ask a few follow-up questions. So you're recording it in Google Hangouts. Is it Google Hangout you're recording?
Google Meets.
Sorry, Meet Hangout.
Okay.
And it's not recording the entirety of it. It should not cap you. It should record the whole thing.
So I would
But it's
record the
not.
whole session, and the whole session will be on the Google Meet. But when I export it using, I guess, like, because they bring down like a drop-down list of websites you can export it to, they say
Right.
like, I guess there's a 30,000 megs capacity or something like that, like limit. So the whole video isn't transporting over. I'm wondering, like, is there a way around that? Is there a way I can transfer the full video?
I'm going to follow up with you. This will be in one of the things that we send out because I want to do some digging into that because it seems odd.
Okay.
I would say I don't use Google Meets every day. I've used it, but I want to see, because on Zoom there's a way to record directly to your machine or to the cloud. So I would imagine there being a similar setting for Google Meets, Meets Hangouts, whatever it's called. So I could look into it and just kind of see if I can come up with a quick little guide for using Google
my
Meets.
email in the chat and possibly
Yeah.
correspond about this.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we'll send it out to everybody. But yeah, if you want to put your email in the chat, I will work on that after we hang up.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate
No
it.
problem.
Joe,
Just to follow up on that, I think this did happen last semester where there's like 20-minute clips, but you never have to go over 20 minutes. So I don't see that as a huge issue, if that makes sense. But if there's a way around it where it's less annoying that you have 20-minute clips, if you could figure that out, Joe, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it seems odd. I feel like the only issue you would run into if the clip split on you in the middle of your lesson and that was a piece you needed. It seems odd. I'm going to investigate and hopefully I have a good answer.
Joe and Sam, do we want to put this recording on Canvas or am I going to send? Okay.
Yep, you could send it out as an email
asked.
blast to everyone in the Canvas group after we're done. And then you can let it live on there. I'm happy if this can act as a resource for everyone or anyone and it can help anyone. Great. Sorry, if anyone, I'm trying to look through the questions now. If I missed your question, feel free to just totally interrupt. What is needed for the Mac recorder? QuickTime. Somebody did ask me if they have a Mac and wanted to use QuickTime. If you open QuickTime, up top, one of the things, it's file new and it's screen recording, and that's it. And if you have a specific question about that or want to meet to kind of give it a shot, you can schedule an appointment with me as well on the ADP Center's You Can Book Me website. So the mics in the regular edTPA kits, that's a good question, work only on Apple devices because they are for the iPods that we have as part of a kit. So they have like the lightning connectors, so they won't work if you have an Android phone like me. That being said, the PE kits are Bluetooth mics that have a line output. So those can work on any device, if that helps. Guys have any other questions? Anything else? We can hang on a sec.
Sorry, I have a question. I've never used QuickTime before and I was like just playing around with it. This may seem like really stupid, but how do you pause it when you're recording it? Because like for me, it like opens up like a window for me to
No,
like.
it's not intuitive.
So like how does it pause?
It's okay. So if you're doing, I'm gonna do it right now just to kind of walk through it step by step with you. So if I went to File, New Screen Recording, it lets you select the area that you want to record.
Yeah,
Hit
like
record.
if I hit new screen recording.
Now in the very tippy top toolbar along the top, there's like a circle with a square in the middle. That's your stop button. Like on that top toolbar. Here, I'm gonna try to share my screen with you. So if we see where my mouse is?
Oh yes.
It's this little button. You should have that next to it's just in this top kind of icon.
Okay. Okay, perfect. I see it. Thank you so much for clarifying that.
No problem. No, the first time I did it too, I was like, okay, what? Where are the
Yeah, because I was just like
buttons?
recording and recording at like just trying to find the stop button.
Yep. No worries.
When I have a Mac too, and when I do QuickTime, it takes me to like my Finder, and it just shows me like all my applications like blurred out. Like it doesn't even pull up anything for me.
When you launch the QuickTime app?
Like if I go to like my Finder on it and then I type in QuickTimer and like I click on QuickTimer, it just takes me to like my iCloud, and then like there's nothing in that folder.
Yeah, I think that's just what QuickTime does. I think you have to go to like File and then open something with QuickTime.
Yeah, when you just launch the QuickTime app, it doesn't look like anything happened, but you'll notice on the top toolbar, it'll say like File, Edit, View, Window, Help.
Hi, I have a question also in regards to this QuickTime. So on my Mac, when I try to record, when I go to File, it gives me the option for new movie, new audio, and then new screen recording is like blurred out. Have you ever seen anything like that?
I'm gonna say no, but that doesn't mean it's not a thing.
It'll let me do a new movie and a new audio, but then the new screen recording is like blur. It's like it's not a dark color. It's kind of like a gray, and I can't click on it.
Question: are you using a personal computer or is it a school computer or anything?
No, it's my personal computer.
Okay. I have two theories. One, I would open App Store and try to just update the app, see if there's a QuickTime update. Because it could be something that simple. Or sometimes there might be something open on your computer that has like a copyright kind of protocol where it will disable screen recording. I would say most things shouldn't do that. But that might be something to kind of investigate. If you update the app and are still stuck, shoot me an email and I'll try to kind of troubleshoot it with you, okay?
Great, that'd be great, thank you.
No problem.
Hi, this is Jennifer. I have a question about Google Meet recordings. So my CT is the one who records it, but is there a way that I can record the entire screen, like what I'm sharing on my screen on my end to show like, in Zoom recordings, you can see everybody on the screen? Because all the recordings that I've received from her it's just like me speaking. I don't see anything I'm sharing.
It's like that active speaker kind of view, right?
Right.
I'm going to put that in the guide because I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't regularly use Google Meets and Hangouts, but I'm going to make you guys like a kind of a little quick how-to sheet and answer any of those questions because it's a very good question. I know that was a problem with Google Hangouts early on, like when everyone first switched virtually, you couldn't see all the tiles like in Zoom.
Right.
So I don't want to definitively answer your question until I do a little bit of research. But first thing tomorrow, you guys are going to have a guide that I'm going to make tonight. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, and as long as you can hear the students, it's not a problem for edTPA. As you could hear 4 students, I think it is. Also, could you stop screen recording?
Oh my
Joe,
gosh,
I'm seeing
I'm
myself
so
mirrored.
sorry.
I don't like it.
Sorry.
It's all right. But yeah, if you could look into that, Joe, that's great.
Yep,
I guess.
I'm going to make you guys a guide tonight. And then Michelle asked if edTPA would accept Vimeo screen recordings. it just depends on what type of file it's being recorded as. So just make sure you're taking a look at like what the end of the file is. Michelle, I would say best bet is, even if you wanted to screen record something just as a test, feel free to send it to us, book an appointment with Matt, and he could kind of just help you review what type of file it is to make sure that you're good to go.
I had a question. I'm sorry. I confused myself earlier when you were talking about the mics, and you said something about something only being available on the Mac, but then something can be used on all computers. Like, what was that? What was that difference?
Oh, yeah. No problem. So the microphones we have for the edTPA recording kits only work with like Apple devices, because the type of connector that they use. So you don't need to rent one, but if you were looking to, the microphones only work with like Apple devices.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
we
that'd
have to
be
use the iPods from the ADP Center.
Yeah, or if you had an iPhone, the mic will fit your iPhone as well.
But if you don't, you're out of.
Yes, because yeah, I'm out of luck too.
Okay.
But we do have the PE kits for the phys ed students, and those have a different type of output into the device. So like, it's not the lightning connector; it's a actual like aux cable that plugs in. So as long as your phone has like a headphone port, that would work as well.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I have another question. Just
Sure.
real quick. When do you recommend like getting these videos done? Because my school, like they're testing the whole month of February, so I'm not going to be able to do any lessons during that time.
I have the same problem.
Yeah, it would probably have to be in like March, and then like that's even like, I feel like that's cutting it really close because it's due March 25th at TPA.
March is fine. Not worried about March.
Okay. Thank you.
No
We can
problem.
submit it also sometime in April, correct?
Correct.
There's 2 dates? Okay. So I guess if anything, if we get a late start, we can always do April. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I had a question. So when I'm in class, I use my laptop for like to see the WebEx meeting and like whatever the shared screen is. But then I use either like my phone or a tablet to see like the students' responses to some of the answers that they're like interacting with. So if I'm recording it, would I have to record like both of those screens or just the one that I'm like teaching on?
I think, Joe, I think you said this before. You only need to record the interactions between you and the students, and then you could capture some of the, if you wanted to use it for, correct me if I'm wrong here, Sam, if you wanted to use it if for something like your commentary, maybe some of the student responses, or maybe informal assessments, would it be, Sam?
I am so sorry. I wasn't paying attention to the question. So if you could repeat.
Yeah, so I use like 2 different screens. Like the one has like the WebEx meeting and whatever screen is being shared at the time, but then we also use Pear Deck throughout the lesson. So I use like a separate device to see the responses that the students are putting in. So would I have to also record that other device, or can I just stick with what's on the laptop?
It depends. So if you're using what was on Pear Deck, I think you mentioned, as your assessment, you would have to record it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you wanted to include it as part of artifacts, like your instructional materials or something, you'd have to record it and then take screenshots of it. But generally for task 2, what you're going to do is just what's on the screen.
Okay.
And I think you can include it as after your task 2 commentary. So you probably do want to do something with that other screen,
Okay.
if at all possible.
Okay, but then that would just be like an additional like thing that's added onto it, not like the final video then, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
No, that's okay.
Also, good job using Pear Deck. Pear Deck is really cool.
Yeah, I know. I just discovered
I
it
love
this
Pear Deck.
semester. I love it. It's so fun.
So when your free trial ends, they let you like continue to add it for several months.
That's what we found out because our school was gonna pay for it and then they didn't. So we were all like, okay, well now our subscription's gonna be ending, and then they kept adding like 15 more days, and
That's and they keep adding it. They were originally based in Montclair. I met the creator of it at a conference at the university, and they moved out to Iowa, but they're like, they love Jersey. So even if you email them and are like, oh, like I need 2 more weeks, I'm a student teacher, I could almost guarantee you they'll give it to you.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
So they're really nice.
Yeah, my district also uses Nearpod. It's also very fantastic.
It's like very, very similar.
Yeah.
So good stuff, guys. If anybody has any other questions, if like we said, feel free to book an appointment with Matt or Perry. I'm going to put those emails up in a second, but it's been great answering any questions you guys have today. We're here to support you throughout the whole time. There's a lot of people rooting for you, so we have your back. So nobody get overwhelmed yet, and let us know what questions come up, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Yep. Bye, everyone.